What's going on, everyone? I'm Ray with Inviri Studios, and this is a continuation of a series in which I give my thoughts, history, and opinions on all the games I'm interested in. I started off playing the Yakuza series, and after playing the original game, I was amazed to see all the different systems and mechanics it began that would progress and improve after each new entry. After seeing the strong foundation, I was excited to see what improvements would be made for the sequel and what would change between games. Of course, everything I say in these reviews are my own personal critique, and these reviews aren't really meant to be reasons why you should give these games a chance, but more my personal connection towards the games, what I enjoyed or disliked about it, and my final thoughts on the game as a whole. So, let's get started with my review of Yakuza 2. My introduction to Yakuza 2 actually came from Yakuza Kiwami 2, which was being released the same year I started playing Yakuza 0. While playing Yakuza 0, I saw the E3 trailer of Kiwami 2, and I was amazed at how different the game looked from Yakuza 0. Since the game came out after Yakuza 6, it followed the Dragon engine, and just watching the trailer got me excited to play. I was a fan of Kiryu and Majima in 0, so watching them find the trailer and seeing how they changed since their adventures in 0 made the game a must-have. Before playing Kiwami 2, I decided to play the first Kiwami, so I could follow the story and see how Kiryu changed between Yakuza 0 and Kiwami 2, but after finishing Kiwami, I wanted to step away from the Yakuza series. Sometime later, I was able to get the original PS2 games and decided if I was to experience the Yakuza 2 story, it would be from the original game and not the remake. So, let's see how it improves upon the first game. In the original game, we played as Kazuma Kiryu, the Dragon of Dojima, a well-respected member of the Yakuza who went to prison for a crime he didn't commit. After being released from prison, he got involved into an eternal conflict within his former clan after 10 billion of the clan's money was stolen. Looking for answers, Kiriumitaruka, a young girl related to the 10 billion yen and hunted by the clan. Kiryu dedicates himself to protecting her, and after battle, he unravels the mystery behind the 10 billion yen. By the end of his adventure, Kiryu has lost those he loved and finds himself alone. After realizing he wasn't the only one who lost loved ones, Kiryu decides to take Haruka as his ward and to live the rest of his life away from the Tojo clan, living in peace with her. The story of Yakuza 2 follows Kiryu 1 year after the 10 billion yen incident. Kiryu and Haruka have been living a peaceful life until they get pulled into another conflict revolving around the Tojo clan. The leader of the clan is assassinated in front of Kiryu, and he promises to help mediate tensions between the Tojo clan and its rival organization, the Yomi Alliance. While Kiryu is trying to resolve the conflict, a new rival is making moves to not only begin a war, but to take Kiryu out and become the only dragon in the Yakuza world. Kiryu eventually teams up with the police and the Tojo clan to unravel a mystery behind a foreign organization throwing fuel to the fire. The story compared to the original game is much larger in scale, with not only Kiryu and the clan at risk, but with new characters and organizations all playing a role in this tale of revenge and destiny. In comparison to the original game, you can see the developers added on to everything that made the first game entertaining, and packed more into the same world from before. Off the bat, you can already see the progress made in combat. Before, combat was very janky, leading to moments out of your control, but as you upgraded, you developed moves to combat the clunkiness. However, Kiryu at the start of Yakuza 2 feels much more refined in his combat, not only auto-targeting enemies, but also being able to move to different enemies mid-combo. This already negates the moments where you were crowded and attacked on all sides. Not only is combat smoother, but there are additional combos and heat moves, making the player experiment more during the battles. Heat moves have always been context sensitive, and since Kiryu is traveling across different distinct areas, you are always interested in exploring the different ways to take down enemies. Kiryu still upgrades the same way as before, with experience points earned by interacting with the city and completing missions, but there are additional ways of improving his skill set. First, Komaki is back to reteach Kiryu defense moves that he may have forgotten during his time away. Komaki's defense techniques not only help mediate issues with certain enemies, but allow Kiryu to regain some of the grace he had when he was fully upgraded. A new addition to the game are the movies Kiryu is able to see. If Kiryu watches certain films, he is able to learn a new technique and use it during combat. Lastly, if Kiryu plays certain minigames for long enough, he'll realize how he can implement the moves of the game to his daily combat routine. Not only does this show the new depth the developers went into adding more to the game, but the incentive it gives the player to exploring the city and trying the different minigames. Outside of combat, everything's the same mechanically. Kiryu still travels around the city, exploring restaurants and bars with minigames spread out. There are some classic minigames returning, like the batting cage, gambling, and the underground fighting. However, this time Kiryu isn't exploring Kamurocho only, but also the district of Sotenbori and Osaka. Sotenbori is definitely smaller than Kamurocho, basically being a square city on the map, but it makes itself distinct with the content around. In Sotenbori, there are more hostess clubs, new club Sega, mahjong tournaments, and even a golf course to pass the time. This small district maintains its own identity, and allows the player to have a greater sense of exploration. The side stories are back and they are more creative than ever, with some involving multiple parts, some with minigames, and others being odd situations Kiryu somehow finds himself involved with. Throughout the game, there are certain NPCs that interact with Kiryu, such as the rich old man with a power chip or an author of a cheesy novel. Kiryu runs into these characters throughout the game, each time adding something to its story and creating a new perspective on their place within this world. These characters were a good change of pace from the story, making me interested to see what they had to tell next. The next type of side stories are the minigame side stories, which are another staple of the series that became established in this game. There are two that Kiryu becomes involved with. The first is role reversal, with Kiryu being a new host at a club, trying to beat out the competition and prove the business is corrupt with nepotism. This side story was entertaining because it showed the other side of a hostess club and the internal conflicts that can occur with the hosts. But most times it became a guessing game with what the client would like to hear, and you'll spend hours trying to win over one customer. The other minigame is also a hostess club, however you're the role of the owner trying to improve and expand the business. In this minigame, you're given limited funds to renovate the club, and after renovating, you'll go out to listen to the clients and see which they prefer, changing the style of the club until you meet their ideal criteria. While running the club, you can go out and find hostesses to manage. At the club, you can see their skill level and either compliment or punish them to improve their morale, while also offering gifts and bonuses to keep them at the job. Over time, you earn enough to renovate, and the minigame repeats over and over till the original owner comes back. Both minigames were extremely enjoyable, and I felt invested enough to ignore the story and work towards completing the side story. In the end, you are rewarded, so I'd say it's worth giving the minigame a chance. The last type of side stories are another staple of the Yakuza series expanded in this game. The original game established the intriguing side stories, such as the Yakuza wife or the con artist, but they typically involved Kiryu dealing with an issue within the city, most times ending with a brawl. Yakuza 2, on the other hand, has Kiryu dealing with the weirder parts of the city. These side stories definitely delve further into Kamurocho, showing the history of some characters, as well as introducing characters with unique tastes and preferences that will be shown again later into the series. There are actually so many new additions to the game that every player ends up missing something in their playthrough that another doesn't, giving each player their own distinct experience. In my original review, I talked about Kiryu as a character and why I felt he was a good protagonist. This game not only improves Kiryu mechanically, but helps add on to his personal struggle of redemption. Kiryu is suffering from survivor's guilt and is trying his best to bring the clan back to its former glory, but the damage he did left ripples throughout the whole organization. Kiryu's main goal is to mediate the conflict with the rival clans, return the Tojo clan back to power, and make up for all that happened the year before. However, like before, there are numerous obstacles in his way that want nothing more than to take him out and destroy all that he's working to fix. Kiryu not only has to overcome the repercussion of his actions, but another dragon fighting to take his place. Ryuji Gora is the main antagonist of the game and one of my favorite characters. Prior to playing Yakuza 2, I heard about Ryuji being a fan favorite amongst the series fanbase, and after finishing this game, I can see why. Ryuji presents himself with confidence in his abilities and dedication to his goal. He doesn't manipulate or deceive others to do what he wants, but rather use brute strength to overcome any issues. This is completely contrasted by the other members of the Omi Alliance. In the original game, the Omi Alliance was mentioned by name as an organization, but here we get to see the organization as well as the internal struggles within it. Before, we were shown the Tojo clan as the main force against Kiryu, seeing the hierarchy and the types of men associated with the clan. This time we are shown how much weaker the clan is in comparison to the overwhelming power of the Omi Alliance. An interesting aspect behind the Omi Alliance is the use of deception and foul play to progress within the clan. Each of the main villains Kiryu faces against in Yakuza 2 are all captains trying to get to the top seat by taking control of the Tojo clan. They each have a method to get rid of Kiryu and to take over the clan, one using stealth and deception, whereas the other takes advantage of Kiryu's humanity. This contrast of the Ryuji and the other top captains of the Omi Alliance is the same contrast that can be seen with Kiryu and the Tojo clan. Ryuji doesn't want to sneak his way to the top position, he just wants to defeat all his enemies with all the power and influence he has in order to become the only dragon. Ryuji and Kiryu are two sides of the same honorable coin, and just like Kiryu became a protagonist I can support morally, Ryuji became an antagonist I wanted to see succeed. Just like the first game, I played Yakuza 2 on a PS2 with an HD TV, so the visuals and sounds were definitely improved. Since there was an addition to heat moves and attacks, the sound design for the fighting stayed just as engaging. With each move feeling powerful every time. The soundtrack this time was definitely unique, distinguishing itself from the original by adding more jazz, more rock, and some of my favorite boss music. There are so many songs added here, there's at least one song every player continues to listen to after finishing the game. After playing the localized version of Yakuza 1 and going to the subtitled dialogue of Yakuza 2, I can see a significant improvement in tone and voice acting. The first game's English dub never bothered me, but I definitely prefer the original Japanese voice acting because it offers a natural flow between the characters that brings a greater sense of connection to all those returning. Listening to the Japanese voice actors and the English dub actors, you can see the dub actors had the potential to match the quality of the original actors, but the direction they were given proved otherwise.
Kill this arrogant motherfucker!
Personally, I'd want to play with the original Japanese voice rather than the English dub, mainly due to me getting used to these characters sounding like their actors, especially with a unique character like Goro Majima. In the first game, Majima didn't do too much with the story besides being an obstacle for Kiryu to fight throughout his journey. But in the sequel, the developers made sure to take advantage of his potential. Majima went from a side antagonist to a character he didn't want to leave the screen. He was somehow able to out-crazy himself in just one game, with his new business taking over a familiar location, his interaction with Kiryu and the others, and lastly, his personal method of diffusion. All of which showing that he definitely has a few layers to his identity besides being the guy who is just unpredictable. Every single moment with Majima was either comedic or entertaining to watch, and I'm excited to see what he'll do in the next game. Compared to the original game, everything was improved. The story was more dynamic and intriguing, adding more within each chapter. The combat was barely an issue and Kiryu handled smoothly throughout every challenge. The side stories were just as interesting as the main story, whether it was the hostess minigame, the rich old man with the power trip, or even the Yakuza with a particular interest. There were so many memorable moments here that the next game has a lot of expectations to meet. I still haven't played Kiwami 2 and don't plan on doing so anytime soon, but I'm hoping it keeps what made Yakuza 2 a great game. Maybe it'll be good to play Kiwami 2 so that I can get the complete story that started with Yakuza 0, but just like the original, I feel it's best in game design to go back to the PS2 version. Yakuza 2 was a great game to follow up the original and is a perfect example of a great sequel that maintains the heart of the original while being its own distinct experience. Thank you all for watching, and this week Inviri Studios is giving away a brand new copy of the localized PS2 version of Yakuza 2, as well as the Steelbook edition for Yakuza Kiwami 2. To win the PS2 edition of Yakuza 2, all you have to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave any thoughts in the comment. Also, we will contact you through your YouTube channel, so if there's no way to contact you on your page, then your win may be voided. For the Steelbook edition of Kiwami 2, all you have to do is follow our social media accounts, like our posts, and leave a comment. By the end of the week, the winner will be chosen and we will contact them. Thank you all again for watching, and for the upcoming release of Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, we've decided to review the 2016 remake of the original game to catch up with the series before the newest entry comes out. We hope you enjoyed our review of Yakuza 2, and we'll be back with our review of Ratchet & Clank.